Hi Aries, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of March. We begin the month with a big focus still on your social life because there's still 3 planets in Aquarius transiting in your house of friends and groups and community. Saturn and Jupiter ushered in this new vision when the two met up on the winter solstice at the 1st degree of Aquarius in your house of community. Saturn's going to be occupying that house until March 7th of 2023, and that's really how you anchor your goals and how you really learn your karmic lesson is through your community and through your friends and connections. Mercury, which is the planet of communication, has been transiting in Aquarius since January 8th, and it'll be in your 11th house of friends and groups until March 15th of this month. So you have it a couple of weeks more. And this is excellent energy for networking. If you're single, it's excellent for meeting new people, new romantic opportunities, new friends. If you're in a relationship, it's still an excellent time for expanding your tribe and your community, and it's a great time for seeking enlightenment. We also have a lot of Pisces energy because there are 3 planets transiting in Pisces in your 12th house of the imagination. The Sun, Venus, and Neptune are all transiting in Pisces. So there is a need to get rest and restore as you embark on the month of March. So on March 3rd, Mars enters the sign of Gemini, where it'll be transiting until April 23rd. And this is in your 3rd house of local community, sales and marketing and teaching and learning. So great energy and focus to really put your energy into all of those areas of your life. And it's much better than in Taurus, where it's been since January 6th. So that's a good change for all of us. And on that day, Venus forms a beautiful sextile to Uranus, and that could bring out of the blue financial opportunities, romantic opportunities, whatever it is, but it's a nice energy. On the 4th of March, Mercury meets up with Jupiter at 17 degrees of the fixed air sign of Aquarius in your house of friends and community. This is a very auspicious energy, very lucky. If you have appointments you want to schedule or interviews, I would do it for that day. If you're single, it's a great time for meeting new people and networking. It's excellent for marketing yourself and really good for manifesting and feeling optimistic. On the 10th of March, we have more sensitive energy because the Sun meets up with Neptune in the sky, and that can be very emotional energy in Pisces. It's a very manifesting energy because you need to use your imagination to truly manifest, but you likely will feel depleted because this falls in your 12th house of dreams and rest and spirituality. On that date, the moon in Aquarius meets up with Jupiter at 12:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's a really good energy for tapping into the infinite possibility that the Aquarian era represents for all of us, but definitely get rest on that date. On the 13th of March, we have a very magical new moon that takes place at 5:17 p.m. a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 23 degrees and 4 minutes of Pisces. And that's in your house of imagination. And that's a really beautiful new moon because on that date, Venus also meets up with Neptune later at 11:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that can be very emotional and sensitive energy around relationships. Some relationships could get dissolved with that, but also it's a very empathetic energy, a very compassionate, creative, and romantic energy. It could be a time of finding romance as well, because Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and Venus is exalted in Neptune, in Pisces rather, which is ruled by Neptune. So really manifest that day. It will be emotional, but it is, still Pisces season. So feel the feelings you need to feel and manifest and write down your intentions. On the 15th of March, Mercury enters the sign of Pisces and enters your 12th house of the imagination, where it'll be transiting until April 3rd. More intuitive and emotional energy, not linear, so just doing more manifesting work. On the 17th of March, Mars in Gemini forms a helpful sextile to Chiron, the wounded healer. And Chiron is transiting in your sign in the first house of self. And that's an excellent day for doing journaling work around things that are bothering you and that are painful for you, maybe talking to a friend that you trust, but that's a useful work with Mars and Chiron. On the 18th of March is a really nice day for love. We have the moon exalted in Taurus, and Venus forms a sextile to Pluto, which is the planet of transformation and passion. And this can be very passionate around relationships, very creative, very loving energy. So good for romance, good for financial endeavors, and good for feeling positive and empowered. On the 20th of March, we have the spring equinox, when the sun is exactly above the equator and the day and night are equal in length, and we begin the Aries season. It begins your birthday season. And on that date, I cast the chart for Washington, D.C., and the equinox occurs at, I've got to remember, at, I believe, 5:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 5:38, and at that time the sun enters 0 degrees of the cardinal fire sign of Aries at the world axis. But what I noticed about that chart is that it has Aquarius rising, which is exactly what we're all dealing with, very Aquarian energy of working with the collective and community and new ways of doing things. Jupiter, the grand benefic, is just a degree away from the ascendant. So Jupiter in Aquarius is giving us opportune expansion and hope that we need. But also the sun is conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. It's an 8-degree orb, which generally is a wide orb, but I think it embodies what we all are feeling as we're transitioning. We have to have the courage to face the wounds that all of us feel in some way, and to have the drive to do so. And Venus is still in Pisces on that date, and it's conjunct Neptune, also at a wide orb at 8 degrees, and in the 12th house of endings. And I think also honoring the loss and the mourning that we're all feeling and the sensitivity, but the empathy and compassion, which is imperative for us all to feel as well, to really come together in this age of Aquarius. And on the 21st of March, Venus enters the sign of Aries. And on that date, Mercury forms a very innovative sextile to Uranus. And that's really great work for networking with people and coming up with great ideas. Venus is going to be transiting in your sign until April 14th. That's excellent for you for being extra magnetic and attractive and glamorous. If you're single, it's a great time for meeting people, and it's just fun in general to have Venus transiting in your sign. And on that date, Saturn also trines Mars in the sky, and that's good for structuring things. So that's a good date. On the 23rd of March, Mercury squares Mars in the sky, and that can be a bit combative energy. It can be a little bit emotionally based because Mercury is transiting in Pisces in your 12th house. On the 25th of March or the 26th, depending on where you are, that's an excellent date for love as well. Venus meets up with the sun at 5 degrees of Aries, and this sets off where Chiron, the wounded healer, was transiting on and off from June of 2019 through the summer of 2020, or on and off through 2020. And they meet up at 11:58 p.m. a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 25th of March, and at 2:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 26th of March. That's a very romantic and creative energy. On the 28th of March, we have a full moon that takes place at 2:48 p.m. Pacific Eastern Standard Time. I am doing this with Mercury retrograde, and I'm trying to remember a lot of facts, but it happens then. And this full moon is at 8 degrees and 17 minutes of the sign of Virgo. And this is going to be a very emotional full moon because Venus is going to be conjunct Chiron that date. And Venus is the planet of love, and Chiron is the wounded healer, and Venus is in your sign. So recognizing the wounds that you have and you feel, and that full moon is also setting off the lunar eclipse that took place on November 30th of 2020. So that's going to be a very heavy time for all of us. And with Venus and Chiron, that is very pronounced around the wounds and releasing the pain and the blocks, hopefully. On the 30th of March, Saturn forms a helpful aspect to Venus, and that can be structuring energy around relationships. And then on the 31st, the Sun in Aries and Saturn are also working in harmony. But that full moon is going to be intense. And on the 29th of March, the Sun meets up with Chiron, the wounded healer. And that's also very painful energy, not easy. So the 28th and the 29th are going to be a bit challenging. And then the very end of the month, we have more helpful energy to stabilize things. So this is a big time. We've got the equinox. We begin Aries season. Venus enters your sign and you'll be shining. You'll be the belle of the ball, but we're also honoring a lot of the emotional energy that we're all still feeling. So I wish you a lot of luck, Aries, and thank you very much.